Hey, folks, Dr. Mark Romano here, and I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Travis Corcoran, who is the president of the IFCO, and I am the president of the Chiropractic Trust. And we are here today to talk about the state of chiropractic. And I'm super excited for this conversation. Travis, thank you so much for taking the time because also, folks may not know, not only do you have private practice, but you are president of the Chiropractic College in the Netherlands. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. The European Chiropractic Academy. But
And go
I'll
ahead,
I'll speak on behalf of the IFCO today as president of the IFCO.
100%. How many different leadership roles do you hold currently?
Uh, I sit on the board of directors for the IACE, which I think the trust supports. I also sit on the fundraising team for the Chiropractic Freedom Coalition, president of the European Chiropractic Academy, founder and president of Top Chiro with 30 offices, mostly over Europe, and then president of the IFCO.
And also a member of Delta Sigma Chi fraternity.
That's correct.
Safe to say you've done a lot of things in chiropractic and continue to do so.
Yeah, thank you. And you as well. And it's always great having these discussions with equally passionate people like yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, bro. So we're going to discuss in the state of chiropractic uh, the two models of chiropractic. And in general, we're going to generalize. There are two models in chiropractic, being the therapeutic model and the non-therapeutic model. And being president of the Chiropractic Trust and also within my office, the definition that we utilize and I personally utilize is chiropractic being the analysis and the facilitation of the adjustment of vertebral subluxations because they, in and of themselves, are detrimental to the expression of innate intelligence. Chiropractic being all education toward this objective, chiropractic being nothing else, and always congruent with the 33 principles basic science of chiropractic.
Yeah.
Now, within that definition, the chiropractic trust will take it to the point, and I do as well in my office, that we are totally disassociated from any physiological outcome, anything that could be confused with a therapy in regards to health, healing, getting sick people well, or keeping the well from getting sick. The absolute conviction is that vertebral subluxation always interfere with innate impulses, which is always bad, and the adjustment, restoring the vertebra back to its innate normal position, allowing for a fuller expression of innate impulses, is always good. End of story. Everybody's better off, and that would be the non-therapeutic model. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Personally, this is probably why we're in such alignment and we can have these discussions because at least on that, we agree personally. However, as president of the IFC, I mean, that's how I practice. Those are my thoughts, my ideology personally.
Yeah.
However, as president of the IFCO and our mission for the IFCO and its vision, we don't go into that. It's just merely the protecting the right, like a chiropractor's right to locate, analyze, and correct vertebral subluxation. Now that would, so for us, that's very inclusive for someone who's not practicing similar to you and I. They may be practicing in a therapeutic model, which would be first or second paradigm. Some of them still, for their reasons, their position is that the correction of vertebral subluxation cures all disease or illness and ailments. And the second paradigm, they believe that it is a treatment for indicated conditions. But you and I, where we practice in the third paradigm, it's simply life is better without subluxation. I mean, my life's better if I don't have an obstruction in my nose. I breathe better, everything's better. It may not cure everything, but I'm just better. That's how I am with vertebral subluxation. Nothing impinges the nerve, my life's better. But the IFCO just wants to maintain and protect our right to locate, analyze, correct vertebral subluxation for whatever your purpose or ideology is. I personally, I'm more in alignment with your values, but there are many, there's a lot of members who just aren't there yet. And my thoughts are that this is just like technology's advanced through chiropractic. So has the philosophy, and that's why we're now in this third paradigm of chiropractic that Reggie Gold and Joe Strauss were so such big proponents of. But other things have advanced too. I think, and we talked about this in the diplomate program at the Academy of Chiropractic Philosophers from Sherman, that early on, these two gentlemen, D.D. Palmer, B.J. Palmer, they required disease. They required that first paradigm because they did not have thermography, nervous scope. There was a lot of things that were not available to them to know if the client or patient, practice member, whatever you call them, they had no way of knowing whether they're getting results. They went based on symptoms, unfortunately, but that was just a matter of the technology at the time. Now we can objectively see an improvement in the autonomic nervous system. Whether there's a resolution of symptoms or not, you just see, regardless, removal of subluxation, life is better. And now that we have that, we don't require this, in my opinion, we don't require first or second paradigm. Those were just necessary at the time, historically.
And I get it. And there is no doubt an evolutionary process. And we've talked about this and we'll just touch on it because this is a whole nother conversation. BJ and DD's contributions to chiropractic, we can never thank them enough. DD never left the realm of spirituality, and BJ kept chiropractic more and more into the religious aspect. And, especially after Bigness Up the Fellow Within.
Yeah.
So, there is the theosophy and the personification of things that, and we've discussed this, R.W. Stevenson was trying to move away from. He did a great job in the 33 Principles, 1927, and perhaps equally one of the greatest discoveries within chiropractic. And just like you're saying, we do have more knowledge now. We certainly do, and more understanding. The principles don't change; our understanding changes. Now, yes, sir. And one of the things Jim Healy would talk about, and we all disagree. And I remember I was talking with Steve Judson, and he was telling about, well, Reggie would come to me and say, man, I'm having a bad day or my hip is killing me. I need you to adjust me or something like that. And Steve would say, well, are we treating this? And rightfully so. And this is my reply that's why chiropractic cannot be dogma or authoritative. It must be 100% logical based on principles. So we know when we're being incongruent, as this case was here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Jim put chiropractic in two categories: therapeutic and non-therapeutic. The therapeutic side has a conservative side, and it has a more liberal side, to where and even then it's such a debate. So and I get where you're coming from. There's so much respect I have. Where would you say is the biggest difference between the IFCO, the ICA, and the ACA? Where would you say are the biggest differences there?
That one now that one's really interesting. I would, instead of ACA, I would say the WFC, because there's something they just have in common, and that is they both openly ridicule and deny the existence of vertebral subluxation. So I would call those the two extremes. The IFCO recognizes that the vertebral subluxation is a very real entity. It was defined first, 74 years before D.D. Palmer, by Harrison in 1821, a medical doctor who was getting incredible results by taking care of the vertebral column. And every component of his definition of subluxation is no different than the chiropractic definition. It's a derangement of the vertebral articulations and its negative impact on the nervous system. So this was a subluxation was around long before chiropractic. It was accepted in medicine. 74 years before chiropractic began, years before D.D. Palmer was even born. So the IFCO recognizes that and understands that the vertebral subluxation is the fountain that we all drink from. Every organization, every technique, every seminar, every coaching management system, product or service sold in chiropractic, everything in chiropractic only exists because of the existence of vertebral subluxation. You take that away, and then you're left with dry needling, cold laser, exercise, nutrition, which 20 other registered professions are doing, which eliminates the need for chiropractic. So no vertebral subluxation, no chiropractic profession. This is why the IFCO is focused on that. You take the other extreme, the WFC, that openly denies the existence of vertebral subluxation, again, the fountain that fills all our cups. Not only do they deny the existence of vertebral subluxation, they openly ridicule and condemn those that acknowledge its very real existence. So these are two international organizations, worldwide organizations. Then you have the ICA that sits in the middle that pays money to the WFC. What's strange and is hard for many ICA members like myself to understand is how do they agree with the IFCO that the vertebral subluxation is a real entity, yet provide their support to the WFC, which openly condemns and denies the existence of the vertebral subluxation. So they sit in this weird spot in the middle between these two diametrically opposed, one that conforms to reason and logic, deductive and inductive logic, and then this outright captured industry, WFC. How is it they sit in the middle there? This is how I would describe, you might say ACA, but that's American specific. This is why I'm saying WFC, because then you have the three international organizations for chiropractic, and that is the distinct difference between all of them. And the subluxation, it is a unique, if you're a business person, you know that a niche focus is what makes you separate, distinct, and apart. And that's what makes us unique. Otherwise, we're just like physios, manual medicine, osteopath, all that. Everyone benefits from vertebral subluxation care. Everyone. There's no one on the planet that wouldn't benefit from this. Now, when you get to the WFC, you eliminate that, and then you have this broad scope where you do shockwave, diuretics, cold laser, hot packs. Now, shockwave is indicated not for everyone. Cold laser is not indicated for everyone. So you're opening the market and diminishing the people you serve. This is an upside down, unstable model and a bad business. It's just a bad professional model, where here we have one service that benefits everyone. I tell you, I can balance this and it's more stable than this model. And somehow the ICA is trying to negotiate between the two. That's my take on this.
Yeah, and there have been talks for decades of the ICA. Of course, this is an American issue merging with the ACA. And at one point, I think there was 6 votes away.
That the ICA would merge with the ACA?
Yes, yes. And this is when Sid Williams was alive and had a massive phone campaign. This is like before the internet and stuff. So this is in the late 80s, early 90s, that there was a campaign that it was very close. I am uncertain of the difference. Once again, when we're talking about getting sick people well, therapies are going to be a natural progression. Yeah. And also, you know, even now there has been an issue with the ICA because, from what I understand from Matt McCoy's article, that they want to support, you know, chiropractors prescribing drugs, which Arizona and Montana, the voting per state is so close.
Yeah.
And it's only a matter of time before
just on that note right there, adding medication or drugs or pharmaceutical products to the chiropractic profession does exactly what I was discussing. Not everyone is indicated for pharmaceutical intervention. So again, you're destabilizing a stable model. The introduction of pharmaceuticals into chiropractic is no different than adding cold laser and all these other things. It is destabilizing a stable profession. When we're focused merely on vertebral subluxation, and this is where you and I did, whether it's for third paradigm like you and I, or for first and second paradigm, however, that's what creates the slippery slope, as we know. But whatever paradigm you're in, it requires the existence of the vertebral subluxation. And you must acknowledge that. Once you begin treating or caring for anything outside of that, is when you destabilize the model. And that's what the introduction of pharmaceuticals does, because those are not indicated for everyone. Vertebral subluxation is indicated for everyone. Furthermore, the more you add pharmaceuticals, which you're not the only one doing that, with vertebral subluxation, we are the only ones.
Yeah.
That makes us in high demand. There are nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, and all the other medical allopaths that are prescribing medicine. And in America, doctors of osteopathy. So how does this elevate our profession when we've simply entered into competition with professions that are superior at that and have been doing it for years? Same with any of the physical therapies that we would entertain. This profession was built on deductive science, on deductive reasoning.
Yes.
But we have seen, it seems we've thrown the deductive reasoning away in search of eating other people's lunch, and then wonder why we haven't gained some cultural authority or acceptance. But what you see is we're constantly trying to take other people's lunch. That is bad business.
Across the board. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the lack of identity in chiropractic, how you describe yourself to yourself. And even with BJ and DD, getting sick people well is a therapeutic objective that is going to incorporate different modalities, and chiropractic itself becomes a modality. So with that being said, even if we exclusively focus on the adjustment of vertebral subluxations, we're still dealing with two separate professions, therapeutic and non-therapeutic. So with that being said, let's go into the area that we're both very passionate about, and also understanding that the outcome, we can have a difference of opinion. Our area of protection, and you've been working very hard for this, is the vertebral subluxation. And we can fight this battle to clarify later and debate it later. Right now, tell us the work that you're doing with the coalition and why it's so important for every chiropractor on the planet to be a part of this.
Well, I would say it certainly is any chiropractor that would love to preserve the existence of this profession and its sustainability and keep getting your cups filled from it, then it's not just the work I'm doing, it's the work we should all be doing. And that is the three things I do, and they are all, I would consider them nonpartisan issues. Like if I were working hard for the Thompsons Association or Blair, now those are partisan issues, right? But we all, even the people that deny subluxation, require it for the existence of this profession. It wouldn't exist without it. So even the people that would deny it still require and like the vertebral subluxation to exist. So my work is threefold. I work with the coalition to protect and preserve vertebral subluxation legally. I work with the IACE, an accrediting organization that ensures that chiropractic schools do teach vertebral subluxation, right? So legally and academically, and then with the IFCO, politically. Simply, those three things are the political, academic, and legal protection of vertebral subluxation. And these are something that any chiropractor who even the people that have multiple modalities, I have a lot of friends that do sorts of mixing with other modalities, they'll tell me, yeah, but vertebral subluxation, that's the big component, big part of my practice. If that's the case, then all the power to you. And I would expect that you're involved in at least, if not all, of these three organizations, because you depend on that. Too many of us are on the chiropractic cruise ship taking from it, and there are too many taking and too few ensuring that the ship doesn't sink, that it's seaworthy, that it can still continue. Nothing is sustainable if all anyone does is take from it. So that's what I do. I work with those three organizations because they, in my mind, are for all chiropractors. They're easy to get involved with. I think the coalition is $50 US a month. The IACE, I think, is similar, or you can even pick, I think for the first couple of months, I was doing $33 a month, and I just moved it up to 100. And then the IFCO, membership of the IFCO is also beneficial to us in our work. So that's what I do. I've also, after meeting with you, I also became a member of the trust because I like the work you do and what you support.
Yeah.
And I know that the trust is also, I forget, it was the coalition or IACE. I believe it was coalition.
I might have, yeah, it may be the coalition, but also, yeah, it may be IACE. Either way, it's to preserve the vertebral subluxation.
Right.
Yes.
And which is where, I think this is where all chiropractors, regardless of their disputes, disagreements, they don't like the way someone spoke to them one time, whatever, but we all have this one thing in common. We all need to protect the fountain that fills our cups. And the IFCO is there for all chiropractors, that whether they're still practicing first or second paradigm, which is that's not how I work. And like, this is where we probably disagree. You would call it a different profession because of the reason they locate, analyze, correct vertebral subluxation. I would disagree. I call it the same profession just because they still locate, analyze, correct vertebral subluxation and not based on why they do it. However, I completely see like what you're talking about, what Jim Healy, that's a great description. And those ideological differences, at some point, maybe it should be two different professions. But currently right now, whatever paradigm you're in, and if your philosophies come along or not, then you still require the existence of vertebral subluxation.
And yes, and in the chiropractic trust, yes, we're exclusive to the non-therapeutic model. We do have membership on two sides of it. For those who are 100% in the model, and yes, they can run for office and all of these things, and then folks who maybe they're not 100% there, but they want to learn, they want to grow, and they want to support it. So we do have these two because we acknowledge this, and we want people to come along, not in harsh judgment. We want to help folks along and help them get. Reggie would always say that if this right here was extreme straight and this right here was extreme mixer, I'm talking back in Reggie's day. And if Benito and chiropractic was here, he wants to move it just a little bit closer to the other direction. Yeah. And so obviously to reach the world, it has to be through vertebral subluxation because they in and of themselves, because even with what you're saying, when you cross over as a therapy, you're limiting the people that you can help based on a therapy treatment. But once again, these are discussions that we can have further down the line. Am I sitting and saying, oh, we need to make chiropractic two separate, distinct professions? I'm not at that point right now. I just simply want to acknowledge that there are two different models going on, which ultimately, based on objective, create two different professions.
Yeah, that's the best way of saying it. There's two models within the profession.
Yes, yes. And I can argue for or against chiropractic. I can argue for or against either model, even if the argument is based solely on dogma and tradition.
Yeah. It may be, the way I look at dentistry, it's the same thing. It practices both models. They do prevention and care. Yeah, they're going to treat things when it goes too far. And they are going to but also work on prevention. They have two models, right? one of my best friends here in the Netherlands. He's like the leading endodontologist. All he does is root canals. So
Yes, sir.
he's not involved in prevention whatsoever.
No,
That's just not his model.
not his
Um,
niche.
it's so I like the way you phrase that there. It's just maybe two different models.
Yes.
However, I see, and you probably agree with me, that therapeutic model, in my opinion, we're so bad at, and there are other professions that excel at it. So why are we doing it? But that's for them. And
Yes.
I would probably say, I'm sure we agree there, right?
Yeah.
Now, the reason I'm so, I don't know, accepting, or I'm okay with people in the first and second paradigm, probably because how I was introduced to chiropractic. And if there weren't people accepting of me, and when I came into chiropractic, because I didn't quite have the full understanding, that I never would have came to where I was now. And so I try to keep, as people were open for me, I try to stay open for them. Likewise with the ICA, they could really, if they could somehow reconcile that strange position that seems to contradict itself, then the ICA could reclaim its former glory. They would just simply have to stop doing such a self-destructive act as supporting the WFC, that an organization that openly denies the
Distance.
their existence, right?
Yeah.
And what's necessary to exist.
And I think identity has a lot to do with that as well, because there's like this uncertainty, and folks have, at least in reply to some of my comments online, the WFO is like this world organization that the ACA is the only organization that has a seat at. And I'm like, why is that such a big deal? Why is that such a thing that we should strive for? You know? So I wish we could disagree more, but this is
Well,
what happens when you're talking logically, because you know what I'm saying?
well, yeah. When you have two reasonable minds that want the truth, you end up
Yes.
converging at the same place. I think if we want to disagree more, then we could probably have a ethical discussion about insurance and things like that. But maybe that's time for another call.
Oh, yeah. Oh, bro. And that would be so much fun. I mean, yeah, because, and that probably would be pretty quick, um, when we're talking logically. So we will do that. And folks, I'm with Dr. Travis Corcoran, who is amazing. He's a chiropractic leader. He's a true gentleman of chiropractic, a great representative. I want you all to post comments here, and we're going to continue this dialogue. We're going to continue these conversations because they're vital to the existence. I said existence of chiropractic. Um, Doc, spoken like a wonderful gentleman. Other other words you want to leave folks to think about? Because we've given folks a ton to think about. What would you like to leave folks with?
I would like to leave with that. If you want to get more and more from this profession, you have to give more and more to this profession. People ask how I've gotten so much from it. That's because I can't stop giving to it. It's given me everything I have, given you everything you have. I think gratitude goes a long way, and we have a lot to be grateful for in this profession, and that we should not shirk the what we've been given as the BJ would call the sacred trust. I'm very grateful for that, and I take it very seriously. And I would love it if more chiropractors would do the same.
And I could tell you from the moment that I met you, you truly live that. You absolutely 100% live that. I have really enjoyed our evolution of growing together because it's been great, and it has been based on the quest for truth
Yeah,
and logical reason.
yeah. When we first came together, there was like it wasn't so much of a clash, but we were both seeking and I would encourage more people to do this. You and I had an earnest effort to understand one another rather than talk down to the other one or prove ourselves right. And that is what allowed us to, despite our disagreements, like I still appreciate, I think it was a month ago, I just had to have a call with you to, sort some things out, and you just talk to me like man to man, that like I was struggling, and you were there for me. And this profession is like that. We are a big family, and we should be able to rely on each other. And I'm grateful for the, like, where you and I have come. It's been fantastic. And I know that more of us can have that. We just have to try and understand one another.
100%, bro. 100%. Let's, we're going to reconvene on this because this is awesome. And when we get some comments, and maybe we can encourage the other leaders to hop on board to have these conversations. And,
Yeah,
even when they do get difficult, because I think that insurance conversation could ruffle a lot of feathers. And in the end, like you said, the quest is truth. I don't want to manipulate any circumstance to appear right. If I have holes in my game, and if I can't argue my game in a logical sense, I don't own my game, and I got work to do. And I know I got work to do.
agreed. I'd love to see people on here like Christopher Kent, Simon Sensen, Matt McCoy. Like some of the issues that are most important to chiropractic, I think those three minds have a lot to contribute.
Absolutely. I would love to see that. I'd love to see David Serio. I'd love to see Steve Judson or folks from the DE model
Yeah.
represent.
Drew
Uh,
Henderson.
do what?
Drew Henderson, another
Drew
great.
Henderson would be great. Absolutely. Yes. And I'm going to put this everywhere. So, folks, yeah, you've heard it there. Doc, thank you so much. I know you've got lots going on. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother.